A killer is targeting both men and women in clubs. They all seem to die after a sexual encounter. Mulder and Scully have a difficult time developing a profile. Who is this secretive killer who is using passion to subdue their victims?
This is not happening. This is not happening.
Hello and welcome to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast.
New York businessman calls his wife to say goodnight, then goes out, picks up some chip. He brings her back here for sex. Beyond that, well, nothing makes a whole lot of sense.
How's that?
Security monitor records a victim entering the room with a woman at 10:13. Same monitor records a male leaving just after midnight.
Couldn't she have just changed clothes?
Thought of that. Male is definitely a different person. Short hair and at least 30 pounds heavier. The video never recorded his entry, nor the chip he ever leaving.
Well, we're 30 floors up, no other means of egress. Did the medical examiner establish a cause of death?
Guy blew an artery. Must have been some roll in the hay.
It's hard to imagine this day and age someone having sex with a perfect stranger. Any sign of robbery?
The male exited wearing the victim's suit, carrying a suitcase, and wallet's gone.
You know, I don't even know why we got this call in the first place.
Really? Somebody at the Bureau put out a memo requesting any case involving this exact COD. I assumed it was... Thanks for the call.
5 deaths, 4 in the last 6 weeks between here and Boston. In each case, the victim dies in the throes of passion. 2 women and 3 men, including the last one.
All young, healthy adults.
All with symptoms of massive coronary arrest.
You think there's a new drug on the streets?
The oldest drug, not even illegal. Each body showed the presence of huge amounts of pheromones.
The chemicals animals secrete? You mean sexual attractants?
Radar love. Only about 100 times stronger than found anywhere in nature. Strong enough to produce anaphylactic shock or a coronary.
So you think somebody's synthesizing them?
It's been done, but nowhere near these concentrations. And hold on to your hat, Scully, because you're going to love this. The pheromones we're talking about, they contain human DNA.
Hello and welcome to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. On today's episode, we're reviewing Genderbender from Season 1, written by Larry Barber and Paul Barber, directed by Rob Bowman. Okay, we open our episode on an open eye with strobing lights reflected in it. Cut to a spinning ball of lights accompanied by heavy pulsating music, and we know we're in a 90s nightclub. Camera angle wanders through the dancing crowd. We get all the tropes, woman dancing and cage included. And the eye seems to take it all in. At the bar, a man strikes out with a woman, leaving him alone with his rejection, and he decides to lift his spirits with a trip to the old horoscope machine, where he encounters a mysterious woman. And by his body language, he gets, we get the impression that she's not his type. But with a stroke of her fingers, she seems to seduce him utterly, and they leave together. Ooh. What do we think of this opening so far? Has it entranced you? Has it seduced you?
I'm not seduced. I'm still on board. And if it were not for Mark Snow's unfortunate song here, I'd be a little bit more on board. And I don't usually throw shade at the man. He's awesome. But not digging this fake song.
I'm sure, well, the irony is that he's used it before. He's drawn for his own playbook, because I gather this was in another earlier street police procedural, I don't know, some TV show that probably didn't make it. But it's trashy. And I just imagine this scene would have been so much better if we had like actual 9 Inch Nails or something over it. Yeah,
it would have been a much darker scene for sure.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, I'm so sorry, yes. Andrew.
No, you're about to drop. We've seen this person in some other.
We are about to, yes. Kate Twa, the seductress. She also plays Scully's ex-student in Softlight, the detective who calls them onto the case.
Okay. Well, the problem is you really don't see our villainess here, or villain, depending on what scene you're looking at them in. They don't get a lot of good light.
She gets this opener scene, and then towards the end, she has another one.
Yeah, she gets a little bit of a monologue, but yeah, referring to this character is going to be tricky because, as we'll see, it's hard to pin them down. We cut to the aftermath of a sex scene. It looks like they had a real great time, or at least he did. I'm not sure.
She's not showing much emotion at all.
Yeah, she's got her something out of it, and she's walking into the bathroom in order to be moodily lit. And he's going on about how amazing that was. You don't believe me. I don't know why. That was so great. And then he proceeds to have a stroke and die, complete with pink ooze pouring out of his mouth. So he's really dead. And as Mark Snow's creepy spider fingers music plays, and that is what I'm going to refer to it as from now on, it's awesome. The camera pays attention to our malevolent one-night standee, and she lets her negligee fall to the floor. Camera follows a man now, walking back into the room. Our she is now a he, and he dresses up in the victim's clothes.
Holy shit.
I know. What just happened
She
here?
grew hair on her legs so fast.
She had a really big orgasm.
Yes. I do want to point out that edit when the negligee falls to the ground and they cut just a bit further back, still on the legs. It's for half a second. It's like, is that the same person or is it not? So like it does play that initial trick on you, but within half a second notice it's a man. Yeah.
What I want to point out is there's this lovely moment where the camera, as you say, is focusing on the legs, but it focuses a bit on the feet. Mm-hmm. And there's just this moment where she flexes her feet a little bit and just the bones in her feet kind of pop a little bit. And it has that look like, oh, is that a special effect? And then you realize, no, feet just do that. But it's so weird.
Yeah, when you're in...
that it looks like it's artificial.
When you're in shape, you see all the stuff. And I have not seen my stuff in years.
My feet have disappeared. It's a condition I have. Well, yes, that is. So we have our big open. Mm-hmm. What do we think now of the mystery of the big seduction? Have we been drawn in?
I think it's interesting. I'm not thrown by anything. I think it's, especially back in 93, 94, it would have been like, whoa, that's a different take on a kill, a gender swapping person.
Yeah.
And that could add a new element of who are our agents going to chase? Will they be able to pin it down as quickly? That kind of thing.
Agreed. Well, we have our marvelous credit sequence, and coming back from commercial, we're now in the hotel room. It's now a crime scene, and we have our pretty tropey image of the cameras taking pictures. And Mulder and Scully are being briefed by a detective on what has happened, and they learn that while the victim and a woman entered the room, after some time, a male exited the room who definitely looks different than the woman. The room is on the 30th floor, so there's nowhere else she could have gone. And of course, they go over how this guy died. It was a massive stroke.
Blew an artery.
Really tasteless. He blew an artery, yeah. We get some tasteless commentary from the detective, how it must have been one hell of a roll. But I guess that's Germantown PD for you. They're tactless and subtle.
Yeah.
And we have Scully dropping this plot nugget where she wonders how anyone in this day and age could have sex with a perfect stranger. And at first I wondered if is that just Scully being naive?
Yeah. Like, I don't think that's a line that she would say. Because it's a little too conservative in my eyes. It's like we're talking mid-90s here. Has she never been to a club or heard of things that happen at clubs and meeting people?
I want to give her a little benefit of the doubt here, because I actually thought, is she implying that perhaps there is actually a connection between the victim and the woman? As opposed to just her being naive about, oh, how could people who don't love each other have sex? I don't think she's going there. I mean, they don't extend into it, right?
I think if she had been like, and even this would be a little off the times, have been like, with all the sexually transmitted diseases, you'd think people would get to know each other better. But she doesn't even go into that, so you can't really tell where she's headed with that line. So it's just a weird line for me.
Yeah. It does paint her as being sexually naive, which would be in keeping with the rest of the episode, because she gets touched by a thumb and suddenly she's...
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Where have you been all my life, thumb boy? So, yeah. We then get Scully wondering, as some viewers might, why Mulder and Scully are at this crime scene in the first place.
Yeah.
And then the detective lets us know that the FBI issued a memo to be on the lookout for crimes with these circumstances. And Mulder's like, yep, thanks, got it from here.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we get that look from Scully like,
Of course it was you. Why did I even question who sent that?
yeah. So back at the bureau, Mully and Sculder have a
We're keeping
conversation. Yeah. So Mulder lays it out for Scully that this death is the latest in a series of murders involving healthy people of both genders who have died from an overdose of super strong pheromones, enough to produce anaphylactic shock.
Radar love.
And well, yeah, it's a nice line. Does fit. And Scully wonders whether the killer is a male or a female. And I gotta say, what wonderful ignorant bliss we had in the 90s about sex, right? It's like,
It's
couldn't be just one, who enjoys both
not a
partners.
chance. We have to solve this crime. It's one or the other. I don't.
That's right. Well, it just underlines Scully being this like total homebody who hasn't gone out and done anything.
Wait. People can both? What?
How does that even work?
It's a little weak for her. And thankfully, she kind of abandons all that weird talk pretty quick, and the episode can move on. But this is a weak opening for her.
The Barber brothers certainly don't do her any favors with this kind of dialogue. And I don't know even why they drop it
Except for the profiling. Indeterminate height, weight, sex.
Yeah, that is
pretty
good
funny.
bit. Well, it does set up the through line for the episode. And we already know that our villain can alter their gender. So, okay. But finally, in our briefing, we learn that the killer has traveled south from Steveston, Massachusetts, where the first death was recorded. And that the town is notable for the presence of the kindred, a obvious stand-in for the Amish people. So Mulder and Scully are off to Richmond, BC. I mean, Steveston, Massachusetts.
All right. We get it. That's all in your country.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff
here,
happens there.
Well, in Steveston, Mulder and Scully visit the local store to ask about the kindred. I got to tell you, I actually looked up the address of this store on Google Street View to see, is it still as quaint as it is on the show? It is turned into a more modern bakery.
Damn.
It's no longer the local...
I was hoping you were going to say nightclub. I was going to be like, yes, all right.
It's an X-Files themed nightclub called the Gender
I would
Bender.
still go there. I would be like, I could see
surprise.
this. I'll take that bagel.
Yeah. At the general store, they don't learn much, but they do get some small town attitude. And we eventually get this weird disconnect about the kindred drawing the tourists, but yet they're isolationists and yet to be left, they prefer to be left alone. So I'm asking, like, what is it, episode?
I'll give the episode this one. If you're asking the question, are they accepting tourists? I don't think that's what he means. I think he means that their existence is drawing tourists to their small little town and giving business to the town because they might get to see or do see on a regular basis the kindred in town.
Sure, okay.
That's just the way I took it.
Well, it implies to me, like, it gives them a tourist map, I think, to, yeah, they're up here, right? So I get the impression you could go and visit them.
True. That's true.
Tourist attraction.
Here's a stool. I made this too.
My grandfather made this stool.
I had to put something in the house yep, I made it. I made the house.
Well, they do mention that they're famous for their pottery. So I would go so far as to say that you would go to Steveston to buy the famous kindred pottery.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it past them to say have a little shop that sells this stuff, or they sell it to this mom and pop
shop.
Yeah, and they sell it.
And they have their. Well, that was a notable miss. I was waiting for the pottery to be on display, and it was not. But what was on display were photographs of the kindred, which I thought was a red flag because they don't believe in pictures. Like when you get to later on when we're visiting the kindred, they're like, what's a picture? Or, I don't want to see your big town pictures.
Maybe they had to experience it first to realize they didn't accept it. So all these pictures were snapped before they made a decision.
I accept your flimsy.
Whatever, man.
I like it.
I think there was maybe one or two they were posed. Maybe. Let me
Well,
back it up.
I gotta say, also, I love the weird business of the pictures down for reframing or something.
Yeah, that
It's
was
like
weird too.
Mulder exercises his superpower investigatory skills and notes that there are these 3 empty spots on the wall where there are obviously pictures missing. And
Go figure.
he goes, what happens? What's happened to those? And the guy's like, oh, those are just down for reframing. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Because it takes about 15 seconds per photo to do this.
I expect the pictures to be, bring them up and have broken frames or something. Nope, they look totally
perfectly fine.
But anyway, we are meant to take away detail from one of these pictures that one of the people in the pictures resembles one of the brothers we're going to meet later on.
Yep.
I don't think it's strong enough that you'll have an aha moment when you get there. But anyway, this is the reason for the pictures.
Yeah.
This plot link is supposed to be given to us. So keep that in the back of your head. So we have our visit to the small town. They get a map to go and visit. And as they are there, clip, clop, the kindred pay a visit to town in their horse-drawn wagon. And this is the perfect opportunity for a little soft interrogation, right?
Yeah.
Mulder and Scully go outside to go and talk to them. They pull up to the feed store and go inside. Mulder is going to go in and talk to them. And Scully goes to talk to the dude and his horse.
I choose to believe Mulder is just like sneaking behind racks and looking at them, just getting as close as he can get. Just not saying anything to him, just observing. But yeah, Scully does take this opportunity to engage one in conversation, which is pretty forward, but, she does it very tactfully.
Oh, yeah. She's basically saying, look, I mean you no harm. I just want to say hi and pet your horse. I'll just sit here and pet your horse with you. It'll be great. We'll be petting the horse together. Well, that's Alice.
Alice.
We named him together. And I don't know if he introduces himself at this point, but this is Brother Andrew. And they chat a little bit. She coaxes him out of his shell. And while they're shaking hands, he gives her the finger.
He starts rubbing that thumb across her little palm there. Not palm, but the back of her hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And this apparently puts her into a daze. This is how Scully gets seduced, or how she gets turned on, as she basically falls asleep.
She immediately becomes like in a trance. And that is interesting still at this point. It's like, okay, so that's quick. We saw a taste of that in the nightclub, but maybe that was in the back of our heads more of a symptom of where they were at rather than just the touch. But here we're getting that touch as like, this is what's happening.
Yeah. Well, we know there's a link.
Yeah.
And Scully knows there's a link. Like at the end of the scene when the kindred are driving off on their buggy, she's got that look that says there's something out there. There's something up. I mean, she thinks
she says it. There's something up there, Mulder.
Oh, yeah. And he gives his little witty rejoinder.
I've been saying that.
See, he's better at puns than I am. So, and when you go to the feed store, do you come out with 2 small bags of feed? I mean, is that...
Not if you're sending everyone from town to do it, no.
Well, I think they go to make sure that nobody does anything untoward. When they blew it with Brother Andrew, because he went and chatted up the townsgirl.
I'd just like to say, we are 12 minutes in to the episode, and we have consistently tried to give this episode reason for being the way it is. Already.
Yeah, it's not going to get better.
It's not going to get better.
So it's at this point I want to call out the very existence of the kindred and the very fact that we have this side plot mashed in with the gender bending front plot. And I feel like you could have had an episode with our gender bender villain, or you could have had an episode with the kindred, but to have them both, I mean, I understand what they're trying to do to say that one of the kindred has left and he's going to experience the pleasures of this world. But
his
I feel like it would have almost been
Rumspringa, or he's becoming a man, but more than that.
I feel like we have a pretty good monster of the week here that doesn't really need this treatment. Like, it could have been a whole mutant creature, genetic experiment, whatever. Choose your trope that gets us to this place. But the kindred angle is kind of
the kindred angle is slightly weird, only because it does. Like, I can see why they're using it. This is a way for these people to observe our societies as they are, yet do their own thing. Okay, I get that. It's believable on that level, but
except that they keep to themselves.
Yeah,
in their little compound.
It gets like muddied up by what they do or do not do, and then eventually at the end, it just gets out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you. It's one of those things where I got this idea. Maybe if we puree them together, it'll turn into something, but it did not very well.
This is not the first time they've done it too. Like, there are plenty of episodes where they mash these 2 or 3 discordant concepts together and they come up with, when we looked at schizogeny, you've got killer trees and child abuse, and it's like, oh, okay, sure. I can try.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, bear with it, I guess, people. We'll get there. So they decide they're going to go up to the kindred compound, and they drive up there. They get there, and the road is not going to accept their vehicle, so they go up on foot, armed with their tourist map. And after an hour's walk, Mulder gets them lost. Remember, he used to be an Eagle Scout.
Weird.
But I guess he just is not good with maps. Good with lighting fires, maybe.
To be fair, he remembered that 4 years from now. So we can just assume that he forgot it here.
Yeah. Future Mulder
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But
okay. Well, we have the kindred now sneaking up on them. Scully hears them approach, and she warns them off. And our intrepid FBI agents are in a standoff with the kindred. They appear to be surrounding them.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, I think the kindred are this is like their perimeter control, kind of like the laser pointer fence from Fallen Angel. Yes. They use people. And
I think it's all of them, though. I think they're all out in the forest.
They do not want their weapons.
Oh, I have a sore spot with this point. And okay, so it seems that they come to some weird compromise by giving them the magazines from the guns. Mm-hmm. Like, they keep their actual pistols, but give them the magazines from them. So making them
better move,
safe.
But still.
Well, if you're the kindred, that's dumb. It's like, these guys don't carry reloads with them? They don't have a knife or an ankle holster gun? It's like, okay, I guess it's the thought that counts,
Yeah.
But
it's one of those things. We're going to hand wave it in future episodes. Why not now?
Yeah.
They relinquish their weapons. As ridiculous as it is, it's what they do to get them into wherever they're not supposed to be. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things I've, as a viewer and a fan, just kind of written off because it's gonna keep happening. Not all the time, but enough.
It's a strange moment. I'm not sure it even really adds to anything. No. I mean, I suppose it's meant to make them more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. They're going into this place they don't really know, and they're unarmed, so they're kind of at their mercy.
Yeah, and they're surrounded, so that's vulnerability in and of itself, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a little ham-handed. I don't think it lands the way that the writers and director wanted it to. And yeah, I mean, gotta say, directed by Rob Bowman, so it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. But I think this is his first kick of the can at it. So yeah, so it may be that they're still dancing around what to do here, and they just kind of needed to get this scene shot, so that's how they ended it.
Yeah,
it's weird. So they walk back to the creepy, soggy, overcast farm county home there, where old-fashioned physical labor and a monochrome color palette are the order of the day. As the agents are led inside to dinner, the camera pans over Brother Andrew to let us know he's there. I mean, he's just kind of looking out over the countryside.
Yeah.
Well, they all sit down for dinner in a chat, and when all of them come in, we have another brother sitting down. It looks like he's got full-on COVID.
Yeah,
coughing up a lung.
This guy, you'd think you were sitting down to dinner with my grandfather, but that's not him.
Let us pray as one. We who are separate give thanks for our allotted time in this world. We ask for strength that we may bring forth the bounty that God has provided. Amen. And we pray for the day of the coming, the moment of our release. Amen. Let us eat.
I was wondering if we might ask a few questions. We're looking for someone we believe may have come from here.
We have pictures.
We do not allow pictures.
A crime has been committed. We have certain questions that we need answered, if you'll forgive us.
What are these pictures?
Hotel security videos of a man and a woman who may have committed a murder.
Where was this crime committed?
In a hotel in Washington, D.C.
If we can arrange for you to look at the videotape, maybe you can identify the individual.
How much violence has this person caused in your world?
5 murders so far.
And may kill again, which is why we need your help.
Has anyone left here recently?
Your world does not interest us. We have no need for your violence or your questions. I've said what is needed. They have no right to be here at this time.
Brother Wilton, stand. Before we can accept any man's person, we must accept our own. And I ask, who can stand in your sight when once you are angry? I am ashamed to lift up my face, and I shall not be ashamed in this evil time. Make atonements for this wrath, Brother Wilton.
That's all right. We didn't take any offense.
Anger as violence is not tolerated. Our brother must be admonished.
He can't breathe.
He does not need your help.
He's choking to death.
Remove Brother Aaron from the dining hall. We did not invite you here to interfere.
We take care of our own.
I also want to point out, whose seats did they steal? Who's not getting dinner tonight? Because there was exactly enough plates for them. And it's like, did they know they were coming, or what's going on here? They don't have technology, supposedly. So Did they radio back, hey, we got 2 extra people, set the table so when we walk into town, we can go straight to dinner? Or
that is
so there were little walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, ear mics, probably. You know,
They
they speak into their
they
wrists.
speak into their wrists. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the move.
Convenient. Maybe they always have 2 extra place settings, Mike. You ever thought
Just
of
in
that?
case we have company.
Just in case. That's right. Tourists.
Yeah, 2 tourists at a time.
All the tourists. They really want to be here. I guess we better feed them. Brother Andrew asks, how much violence has this person caused in, quote, your world? Now, he doesn't put quotes on, but I did. And it's because they drop that turn of phrase about 6, maybe 7 times during the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they keep on having these kindred folks calling it your world. And I get that, you know, their community is their world and the rest of the world is our world. But
I don't think by the end of the episode that means something completely different.
Yes. So they are definitely putting in some heavy foreshadowing for the end of this episode. So keep that in the back of your head. So before they can get to that, though, Brother Wilton lashes out, causes a scene, saying, you know, they got no right to be here. And then Sister Abigail admonishes him, tells him he's got to apologize, basically. And then Brother Aaron can't breathe and goes falling down. And they sit there saying, no, he doesn't need your help. He's going to be fine. And have him removed from the dining hall so he can choke to death in his own room or something.
They really missed the opportunity to, while they finished dinner, listen to him continuously choking and gasping for air in the background. How are your beans?
All in all, they don't get anything out of the kindred, and it's a weird interaction. Definitely enough to make them go, these people are, I understand they're different, but they're really different.
Yeah.
Well, we cut from this to another nightclub scene where Mark Snow's #1 hit is still topping the charts. Is super popular. It's in every nightclub. Well, I'm guessing this is the same club set.
It is the exact same club.
It's the same set. Do you think they're meant to think that this is another club?
Yeah, I would imagine because, yeah.
But it's got like the same cage dancer,
Same
the
thing,
same lumen light ball.
H.R. Giger-esque painting on the wall.
Yeah. So is the killer getting sloppy and going to take another victim from Germantown?
I guess.
I mean, at this point, you got to wonder about the local PD and what kind of job they're doing. It's like, oh, we had death here in this nightclub. But I don't think we should tell anybody.
Well, he told the FBI. They're looking into it. We're done.
We're done. Yeah, wouldn't want to cause a panic.
Can I get that crawler?
Listen, this town relies on its nightclub tourism.
We play one song. Everyone loves it.
Yep. Everybody has a great time with the horoscope machine. I mean, come on. This is our tourist attraction. It's like that or pottery. All right. So the killer asks a blonde to dance, and she initially rebuffs him, and then he uses the thumb of seduction on her, and then she is totally into the idea of dancing.
She says no. He heard that as, let me try that again, and grab your hand in a very weird way. That's... Ugh.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Well, he's not a nice guy. It doesn't end up...
he does not have good intentions. That is obvious, and we know that.
Which, okay, if we want to unpack our villain and their superpower, which is to change their gender and to shoot pheromones at people so they want to sleep with you, I guess. Why do they need to kill these people in the throes of passion? Or is this just a side effect of their...
I think it's a side effect / a serial killer compulsion, because it keeps doing it. There's no reservation. So
there's no guilt about it.
Yeah, there's no guilt. So either it is strictly about pleasure and this person is can't control themselves, or it's just like this, I'm going to get something from this person, and oh, by the way, they're going to die, but I don't care. So I think it's like it's always, to me, been a serial killer aspect to it, because they're obsessed with sex and they want to kill. So why not get both done?
Sure. I mean, my read on the gender changing was that it was kind of accomplished after the kill.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think
like
that's
the power up.
Because like you needed to recharge or something, and then you could do it. But
bloop, bloop, bloop.
I don't know. Anyway, it certainly doesn't really elaborate on it. It doesn't give you enough, I think. It just sort of lends itself to the idea that, no, he's just the serial dick, and he's gonna, or they are gonna...
Good word usage.
Well, that's all you're left with, right? You know, there's no absolute here.
Oh,
so
we're going to have to mark what we need to cut.
Dancing. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what to cut right now. No, we're good. Keep going.
Leave it all in. It's all great. So Mulder and Scully are escorted off of kindred property, and then they discuss the creepiness they just witnessed.
Yeah, but Mulder points out that for all the questions they asked at dinner, they got 0 answers, yet they answered every question that was thrown at them. So they find it very suspicious and decide to kind of head back under cover of darkness.
Yep. They're going to go back and investigate. So back at the farm, Mulder overhears low murmuring, which is clearly the kindred up to no good. They see them walking to a barn with creepy red lanterns, which means they're
evil.
So they go up to the barn and they spy through the cracks in the walls, and they see a ritual taking place with the body of Brother Aaron, who was taken down into a cellar. And for no good reason, Mulder and Scully decide to split up.
Of course.
Yeah, Mulder goes inside and Scully stays outside to keep watch.
I guess.
Yeah.
Mulder's going into danger, so he's leaving her behind. I think that's the best explanation we got.
There is no need for them to cover each other. I mean, as far as I know, Scully's the only one who can fire a gun, so it really makes no sense for Mulder to be going down there.
True.
Well, anyway, they're split up, so while Mulder goes into the cellar, Scully is crept up on by a sneaky Brother Andrew, and we have a very nice jump scare.
Commercial!
Yep.
Hand on shoulder. Oh!
And after the commercial, Brother Andrew takes Scully back to the house to give her some information. I need to tell you something, or I need to show you something. It doesn't feel right? Like,
I gotta show you something. Oh, by the way, we're going to my bedroom.
we're going into my cool room. I'm going to show you my magazines.
He's not very good at subtlety.
No. Well, he certainly has been directed that way. So while they're there, Mulder is wandering through the tunnels beneath the barn, which I gotta say, kudos to the set and props department.
Oh, yeah.
This is all done artificially. Like this is not practical. They had to create this set, and apparently it was trash to work in.
Not computer.
Like, it's super cramped and not easy to get stuff in and shoot in. But
that is a lot
solid.
of paper mache.
Or something.
That's the only thing I can think of, because even when they're slopping it on the dead guy, it looks exactly like paper mache. But yeah, I think the walls look like it a bit too.
Well, you got to remember also they're shooting on film in the 90s. So if they want to shoot in a low light situation, which they do, they want to shoot by lantern light basically.
Yeah.
They've got to use super fast film and just suck up every ounce of light they can possibly get.
Right.
So these are not actually gas lanterns. Apparently they're electric lanterns that have a big old electrical cord trailing behind them. And they're super bright. But I don't know. I watching it just looked like gas lanterns.
It looks good.
It looks really good.
Hats off to director of photography and Bowman. Like they did such a good job.
Well, and the X-Files is really good at shooting it in the dark, generally.
Yeah.
They nail it.
Their bread and butter.
All their night scenes. So, yeah, totally works here. And the lantern light really makes this whole ambiance very claustrophobic because of really dark atmosphere of the tunnels. So, that and Mulder being literally crammed into these small spaces, it just really evokes this feeling of claustrophobia. Really effective. So, yeah, he is down there walking through the tunnels, approaching this ritual that seems to be continuing with Brother Aaron. And so we get a little introduction to that. We cut back to Brother Andrew in his bedroom with Agent Scully, which is probably a big no-no in the Kindred guidebook.
Doors open!
Yes, that's right. Sister Abigail is there as a chaperone. But he reveals he knows who the killer is. And it turns out the killer is his best friend, Brother Martin. Marty was different. We're all different. He gives a big dramatic lead up, and then he reveals he needs to show Scully something about Marty, and reveals Marty's stash of glossy magazines.
Why are the pages stuck together? You can't enjoy these quite like Marty did, but you get the idea.
Marty's special. Yeah. So Marty was captured by your world, again, underlining the your world, and then he left to become one of you. Oh, look at that. So we're definitely foreshadowing something there. And meanwhile, back with Mulder, watching several of the Kindred cover Brother Aaron's body with the unique white clay of the farm, which does look a lot like
it looks like paper mache.
It also looks like a spa treatment I would not enjoy. Yeah. Yeah. So he then watches the Kindred members take Brother Aaron's clay-covered body deeper into the tunnels. And he explores this chamber. He finds a small area covered with it's pliable substance, like a membrane of some kind.
That's actually kind of cool. Like, I'm like, okay, what is this? All right, this is a little bit different.
It definitely has that alien kind of feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that exists normally in nature. So what is that? But before he can get to the bottom of that, the other Kindred come back, and he stealthily dives into a hole, and they narrowly miss him.
I'm sorry, I just got to look at the daggers that old man has for toenails.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God they're out of focus. Whew.
Well, Mulder overhears that they've noticed Scully has returned and is talking to Brother Andrew. So again, talking into the wrist mic, I guess, because like, how do they know this, right? But they are also looking for the other one. And Mulder notices in his hidey hole, he's not alone. Brother Aaron, apparently, is in there with him. I thought it was somebody different, but...
No, yeah, that's where they stashed the old man that they're resurrecting.
It would appear. And I think we're supposed to note that this is the same guy from the 30s photograph that they saw in the general store. or that it may in fact be a woman. I didn't get that.
They don't show like much of a transformation, but they do alter this man a bit for the scene. I really don't get it's not very noticeable.
I get it from Mulder's dialogue later,
yeah,
but I don't get it in this moment. I just get it like, oh, this is some dude. And then as he's examining the man, his eyes open because, of course, we need a little jump scare at this point. Oh. Did that jump scare anybody?
No.
Did that do anything? No. Well, the episode thought it wasn't okay, too, because we're cutting back to Brother Andrew and Scully again. And he is now explaining how Brother Marty was different. And I guess he's going to show Scully instead of tell, because he takes this as an invitation to offer some light touching, and gives her the thumb treatment again.
Yeah.
Except he's kind of being drawn in like Brother Marty is, and he's giving her the whammy.
I don't know. This is kind of another stumbling block for me. Up until this moment, I don't feel treachery or anxiety around Brother Andrew, right? Like he's mysterious. He's an ally. But then he goes in for like the kissing and seducing Scully, and like he's gonna go through with it. He lays her down on the bed, and it's like, okay, well, you know what's happening, and you want to stop him, but yet you're gonna fuck Scully and kill her,
and probably kill her with an anaphylactic shock.
So it's like, what's going on here? So I don't know.
Yeah,
and I say ally, I mean like he sounds like he genuinely wants to help. Maybe that is the one major saving grace of this episode, is that we all fell for it, but I don't want to give it that much credit. And if he's going to demonstrate to Scully what's happening, he's already gone too far, because she's like completely tranced out.
Yeah, well, exactly. And she's not going to be an active participant in this session that he is about to force upon her. The only possible explanation I can give for it is that he's as fallible as she is in a way. Like he is drawn in by this seduction and sees what Brother Marty is doing and wants to understand it, maybe, or is drawn into it in that sense.
I think it's that age-old discussion we've all had with our parents. We all get sucked in. Things happen. You go too far, and you guys have sex before you're ready. And before you know it, you got a kid.
And you're working a minimum wage job.
Brother Andrew just wasn't prepared for the feelings he was about to get.
True. So true, in fact. Well, that's what the X-Files is, isn't it? Especially this episode where Scully is virginal. You know, I can't imagine people
I can't imagine people having sex. She just looks at the camera, shakes her head.
With the creepy piano music going, it looks like we're going to get into a full-blown assault when Mulder breaks into the room and rescues Scully. And they leave. And she's doing the dazed walk of shame or whatever. And
the next shot, one of my favorite shots of Scully, when she's standing out there behind Mulder and all the kindred are standing, she looks so drunk. Yeah. She looks so good in this shot. I've got it on my screen right now. She's like, oh yeah, kind of wobbling.
Well, all the kindred have gotten the memo because they are there to unwelcome Mulder and Scully and invite them to leave again. And I like just Sister Abigail intoning that we asked you not to interfere. And it looks like a real unsubtle threat of violence.
Mm-hmm.
But then they open ranks and they let them go.
Yeah. She just steps aside like, all right, go.
Now, I have to ask, was Gillian Anderson pregnant at this point? Because
she does
have her baby in the next season.
She looks like she's got some baby weight going on. I don't think just yet, but like in the face, it looks like maybe she's...
So when she walks up, like they start to walk away, and then she turns around and goes back to the fence and barfs. I'm wondering if it's like, if this is just a sort of off-camera thing that they captured, and they're like, oh, actually, that's great. Let's use that.
Let's use that.
That was so realistic, Jillian.
I'm hurling.
She's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, we cut from there back to another nightclub scene. They are getting maximum mileage out of this club set. I think they paid for the full day, you know?
Yeah.
And the camera pans over Alex Krycek.
Wait a minute. Nicholas Lay. What?
All right. I want to hear your conspiracy theories about how Michael is in fact Alex Krycek.
Well, this is it. This is what I've always told myself, because I'm like, I know he's not the same character, but in my head canon, it's him, right?
Yeah.
So he is so embarrassed about being caught in a car with what he perceives to suddenly be a man that he gives them a fake name.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I go with that.
He's willing to just, all right, I don't need this on my FBI record already, so
that's right.
My name's Michael.
And in 2 years, I'm going to come back as a deep cover operative, and I'm going to get my revenge for you making fun of me. Does that follow?
Yeah. I think it works.
Well, we see him talking on his 90s cell phone, and he's having a conversation with somebody, and our villain comes over in female form, and she gives him an initial stroke, and he's like, hey, I'm talking on the phone here. But not to be rebuffed, she gives him the thumb of seduction, and he loses all self-control and goes off with her. As you do.
That's what you do.
Perhaps now is a good time to mention the different lighting palettes used in this episode. In the city, it's nightclubs, harsh, discordant strobing. And at the farm, it's all dim lanterns, very incandescent, the yellowish light. Very soft shadows, that kind of thing. So definitely have gone to some effort to separate our different scenes.
Yeah.
Mulder and Scully then regroup over a cup of takeout coffee, and Mulder reports his experience in the tunnels beneath the barn, that Brother Aaron was alive and appeared to be undergoing a transformation, which I didn't see. I don't know about you all.
It's the hair more than anything.
The hair? That follows, yeah.
Because you can't have long hair and be a man in 94.
Or if you're a woman, you've got long hair. That's all it is. So Scully reports that she doesn't think Brother Andrew is the killer, but she can't explain why she was unable to stop herself from, as Mulder puts it, doing the wild thing with a stranger. Nice little subtle innuendo.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we see Krycek as having sex with our villain in the car, broken up by a passing patrol cop. And she exits the vehicle, and as our cop is giving her some sass, "Are you a pro?" She's like, "Huh?" And Krycek chooses this moment to have a stroke, and it's enough to distract the cop so that she can give him a good old sucker punch. And she continues to give the cop a good beat down. And then we have this bit where Krycek, I'm calling him Krycek, I'm sorry, this is the way it is.
Just do it, yeah.
Yeah. So he wipes down the condensation in the window to see what's going on, and he sees that she's now a he. And I'm sure this is enough to give him some future gay panic nightmares. And she runs away.
Every woman he hits on in a club, he's going to be like, "Can I see your throat?" I want to say that when the killer turns around and is now a man, it looks like fucking, what's his face from Buffy? Spike.
Oh, Spike. Yeah.
It looks like him for like a split second. I was like,
yeah. You're looking it up, aren't you? We're not advancing until you get it.
James Marsters.
All right. So after the commercial, Mulder and Scully interview Michael in the hospital, where he relates the details of his encounter.
On a scale of 1 to 10, she was a kind 3. But there was something about her.
Did she touch you or make physical contact in any other manner?
Her touch was electric. But after that, I remember only vaguely.
What do you remember?
Nothing, actually.
Try to remember, Michael. The policeman at the scene supports what you said, but maybe there was something unusual about this woman? Something you wouldn't feel comfortable telling the police on the record?
But this is off the record.
Absolutely.
What did you see, Michael?
After she left the car and she was fighting with the cop, I saw her in her clothes. And she looked like a man.
She was a man.
The club scene used to be so simple. It's off the record.
Scout's honor.
On a scale of 1 to 10, she was a kind 3.
That's the good line. Yeah. It tells you everything you need to know about him.
It does. I won't comment realistically on the actual person, the actress, but I kind of feel bad for her in this scene. It's like, yikes.
What is this guy's scale? Like, what's a 9 for this guy?
Well, I just feel bad like
she's more attractive than
yeah, probably. It's like, are you commenting on the character and what they were supposed to look like, or this person?
Have you downgraded her because she beat up a cop and changed her gender, thus influencing your opinion? Is it possible that before the assault she was a 6 or a 7 even?
Right. I think you're just attacking her now.
I think you're just taking it real personally. You're asking yourself some questions.
I think before she clotheslined the cop, she might have been a 10. But
did her rating improve after she turned into a man? Was he a kind 6?
Her throat felt like a 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on.
Well, Mulder and Scully toss around the idea that the killer is a transvestite, which is a bit of a stretch.
And for Scully, that's like the obvious answer. That's the scientific. Yeah. It's obvious. We've got someone who has changed sexes and is committing murder. That's where the confusion is, supposedly.
And it's at this point, I think Mulder he's on board the gender changing train, right? Like he's using his superpowers at this point to say that, this is not a transvestite. This is something else. And he has seen the transformation in the clay ritual chamber or whatever. Like he's figured it all out. She just can't get there yet. But then our killer gets sloppy. The plot needs to move forward, damn it. We have gone at least 10 minutes without an action sequence. So killer decides to use the credit card stolen from the last victim to get into a downtown hotel. And our agents rush to the scene.
And not sure. Maybe I need to rewatch the scene, but they've killed someone else again? Or someone else already?
No, I think...
She's talking to someone when she's given that exposition or whatever, that monologue.
Her monologue.
The camera pans over and there's a dead guy. So I'm like, okay, they are moving fast.
Well, they are. But I think the credit card is from the victim we saw at the open of the episode. That's the credit card.
Yeah.
Because that's, quote unquote, the latest victim. I don't think there's been any official... Well, maybe there has been. We haven't seen it. But I think that's who we're meant to think it is.
Real quick, before the monologue, the agent that tells them about the credit card, that is Leslie Ewan. And she appears in at least a few episodes. I believe she shows up in Revelations. And to me, her most prominent role is probably Unrequited in season 4.
Well, we'll have to call that one out in 2 years.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or 1.
Maybe sooner. Or 1.
Revelations season 3.
So our agents rush over to the hotel, and we cut to that hotel room where indeed our villain is monologuing about her lot, how she's different and enticed by the pleasures of, quote unquote, your world. And this is probably the 5th or 6th reference now, underlining the different worlds business. It's sure. Okay. Anyway, Mulder and Scully are on their way, guns drawn. We got a bit of a moving camera thing going, which is real kinetic and moving. And back in the hotel room, our camera tracks over the killer's latest victim. And we have Mulder do a whole bit about delivery. He's going to be the delivery guy who came with their food that was ordered. Which, okay, so the killer took time to order delivery?
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's a real loose thread,
It's wholly unnecessary. There's no them coming to the door and oh, I'm surprised. No, it's just kick down the door. You don't need this pretext. It's like...
Yeah. There's a couple of things that don't land in this episode. That's one of them. So Mulder crashes through the hotel door and they raid the room. Scully discovers the dead body, but then she's cold-cocked by the villain, so there's a concussion, one of many, right?
She story concusses.
But then the villain flees, and Mulder goes over to check on Scully. She announces she's okay, so this gives him permission to chase after the suspect. He tracks her to another room, where he is kicked in the face. And then we're treated to the episode's big FX budget, and Mulder watches her transform from her female form to his male form. which if you say that a couple of times, we'll think, okay, what language should I be using here? For his trouble, Mulder is kicked in his face again, and the villain runs away.
Okay, so what did you think of the special effect?
Well, the production notes say actually this didn't land very well because the actors that were cast for the male and female versions of the villain, they looked too similar.
Well, different heights, though, was bothering me.
Yeah, I mean, don't look too hard behind the curtain of how this transformation actually occurs.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe you could say that Brother Marty is different because he can control his transformations very quickly. Like, he doesn't need to go back to the clay bath to be able to transform.
Yeah.
Has a reason to do it. I mean, why transform in that moment?
Because we need to see it. Because as the audience, we have to see it. And Mulder needs to see it, and Sculler's not in the room, so now's the time to do it.
Right. The plot has laid it bare.
I've got the trifecta.
This is the only time.
Scully's not here.
I guess this is the time. So, yeah, runs away. Scully comes to her senses, rushes out. She goes past a face-kicked Mulder, and he says something too, right? Like, I'm okay. Go get her.
Go get. Yeah.
I have to imagine in the shooting, they don't have those lines, and they've added it in as sort of extra Foley. And that in the moment, she's just like, he's down. I'm running anyway. But we cut down to a real A-plus set of an alley. I mean, it is...
Looks good.
Really cool and nicely lit, complete with smoke for absolutely no reason. I don't know where the smoke is coming from and why, but it looks really great.
Because Allie.
She pops out. Because Allie.
Because Allie. That's just how it happens.
Yeah. So she's covering the alley with her PPK. She advances around, and we then have some mysterious shadows and some figures appearing on the walls, and kindred have arrived. She advances on Brother Martin, confronts him, but before she can get the cuffs on him, Brother Andrew and the other kindred surround him. And Brother Andrew stares her down, and despite her forceful attitude, she can't shoot this baleful, innocent face. Can't shoot Brother Andrew.
I just want to pinch his cheeks. That's all she's thinking.
The only conceit I could say might explain this is that they're doing yet another poor X-Files writing decision and extending the villain's powers.
I hope that's not what it is.
Giving him the ability to control her mind with his eyes. Because it's the only thing that makes sense. I don't get that the two of them have some magic connection where he can talk her down because she secretly loves him. If that's the intent, it was not well-founded. So
yeah.
It just feels real weird.
Very confusing and ambiguous. It could be taken a multitude of different ways. And it's not good for the episode in general, not because there are questions, but because it doesn't make sense regarding what we've seen them do so far in the episode. If it goes down the route you just explained, where their powers are advancing, and we just got another bombshell that can apparently warp in at any given time from some unknown location.
Yeah, that was convenient, wasn't it?
So that's a bombshell. And if this is another bombshell where he can just mess with her mind blaster, if you want to go.
Oh, then why not? Again, it's the classic case of if you could do this now, why didn't you do it before?
Exactly.
Well, you're absolutely right. Like, they needed to have the kindred suddenly appear. So they had this mysterious fade in of their shadows, and then they're here. But there's no reason why they couldn't just, literally have tracked them down somehow. I mean, they could have integrated them a bit more into the episode and it would have made sense. Didn't need to have this sort of sudden teleportation ability that they could have.
And if that's the case, how is Marty even remotely in trouble? Like, he could just warp in, do his thing, and warp back to town, to the kindred town. And be... Yeah. It's just...
Well, the episode agrees with you. It knows it's in trouble because they used the old time-honored tradition of Mulder calling out for Scully. She gets distracted, and then Andrew whacks her in the face, and she goes down. Which is so out of character. It's like...
Yeah.
They don't believe in violence, so... Why does
he could, if you absolutely need to subdue Scully again, which
grab her by the thumb.
To be fair, it's been done enough in this episode already. Do something that proves to the viewer that you are who you say you are and you're not this violent group of people. But no, you're going to pound her.
It's just easy for the episode to just whack her and she's down. But they needed to do it like that because, again, she cannot see the paranormal, or at least her exposure to the paranormal has to be extremely confined for the show Bible, right? So the only way that they could theoretically get out of it is to render her unconscious, which is a terrible way to get out of this plot hole they've driven into.
The easiest way, and I hate to say it, but it would be more consistent and we'd only have to complain about it once, is she got knocked out in the freaking apartment and Mulder saves the day and she just stays knocked out. She's going to miss all the important stuff anyway. And the fact that she saw Brother Andrew again and there was this, mind situation going on doesn't come up ever again. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it has an effect on her. So it's not important.
See, I would almost have preferred that, he does his thumb on the hand thing again, but uses that to shut her down and take Brother Marty away.
Simple as that
would then, it would be pretty easy.
Yeah, we see how fast it works anyway, so
yeah, but this sudden move to violence doesn't make sense for the character. But there you go.
Moving on.
What happens? So we cut to a police dragnet. Dokel, our new detective, which we haven't seen the whole episode. He's
Doug Abrams.
Which we'll see in episode
he plays
31
in Die Hand die Verletzt and Hell Money.
Which do you play in Die Hand die Verletzt?
I think they're all detectives, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember completely, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he tells them that despite a 10-block lockdown, the suspects have evaded capture. And Mulder figures out there's only one place they'll go, so it's back to Steveston, Massachusetts.
And apparently it took them all night to get here.
Well, it's Massachusetts, and they're in Virginia.
That's true. They were in Virginia. You're right. I was thinking it was like outskirts of the city or something, but
yeah. Well, sheriff's SUVs tear onto the farm, and the long arm of the law, including Mulder and Scully, fan out across the property, but the kindred are nowhere to be found. In the barn, Mulder finds the doorway to the cellar is now blocked with stone.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, as the police announce they've discovered something in the hayfield, we end with our helicopter tracking shot of the agents in a crop circle. And Mulder implies that they've disappeared all right, with no earthly means of transportation.
It all happens so fast.
Yeah.
And we're just supposed to suck on it.
I think there is an explanation because they have been hammering this whole
for sure.
Your world thing for the whole
episode. Yeah. And it's definitely ham-fisted and in your face, but I don't even think in 93 I would have been like, oh, that's what they were doing. Because your world lines they're spaced out enough to be like, okay, well, I get that you mean your world in the sense that you guys live up in the mountains and you don't participate in society really, but come on.
I was fine with this episode. I was legitimately fine with this episode right up until this last moment where they literally took a hammer and a nail and they tacked on this ending.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
it's like, what?
Oh, there's space aliens?
What the fuck is this?
To that end, all the questions started rolling out of me.
Wait.
I start the episode with questions. Now I'm ending with questions.
Yeah.
Before I end with questions, I'm going to ask you if you had any other thoughts about what we have just seen before we dive into final thoughts.
I think we've done a good job of presenting our questions.
All right.
As they come.
So, if these are space aliens and they have a no violence policy and they're able to teleport wherever they want and they can do the whammy on pretty much anywhere they want, why are they allowing Brother Martin to perform all these murders? Because the episode demands it, yeah.
There's so much that is...
No, it's
the last...
hadn't added this ending.
3 minutes of this episode make this whole thing just crumble. And it's not like it was this grandiose episode up until that point, but at least you could have come up with something that was streamlined and made sense for what we've already seen. But
you know what the perfect ending is? the perfect ending is a Jonestown where they're all just a bunch of dead bodies downstairs in clay. They've put themselves in the clay process for whatever reason. It makes just as much sense.
Yeah.
But we don't have freaking crop circle space aliens tacked on.
I don't see one Kindred outfit in the rest of the show, tacked on like an alien, just which they should have probably done in one of the humorous episodes, have one like in the background. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's
they all drive away and it's like
they had to
I
know
guess they got away from us.
They had to know this was ridiculous and absurd to end the episode that fast and that left fieldy. It's so like, what? How did this one make it off the table?
Well, I think it's a classic case of somebody had an idea for an image and they were like, how do we build an episode around this? And it feels like, well, you know what? We booked this helicopter for the shoot, for the next episode we're doing, but the timing doesn't work. Can we use the helicopter in Genderbender? Does it work?
I got an idea.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, crop circle. Yeah, that's hot.
Not to mention it's the smallest crop circle you've ever seen.
Right.
It's so small that it led me to ask the question, is it a crop circle or is it the depression from where their spaceship was? I'm like,
I think that's what
that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
It's so bad.
It's just bad. It's just
all right, let's bend into the final thoughts so we can
Oh,
thank you. Ooh.
Yeah, this one's going on an hour and a half.
Shall we wait, hold on. Shall we transition into the final thoughts? Yeah.
The only really good stuff in here is the technical side of things, the lighting. Rob Bowman, aside from the club song, Mark Snow's doing his best,
I would like to recut this episode with some quality 90s hardcore industrial. I think it would just automatically make those.
It would automatically make it better, at least a little bit. But we get some really cool camera angles with Bowman. It was just an unfortunate episode to start on, but at least he was able to prove himself. He's coming off of The Next Generation and doing a handful, dozen or so episodes for Star Trek Next Generation. So he knows what he's doing, and he's a heavy hitter even off of the X-Files.
Yep.
But he did what he could with this one, and him and his cinematographer, man, they blew it away. They did such a good job.
Yeah. It looks really good. It's just a horrible script.
Yeah. And that's really all I have to say. I like the episode, it's really only unbearable towards the end. Like, it's not great leading up to that, but I can still watch it. It's interesting enough until they get to the last 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes, and then it just falls apart, and it makes the whole, what you've just seen, the last 40 minutes, seem like a waste of time. Like, what? Yeah. If you're going to exit that crappily and almost like a slap in the face, like there's no explanation for what we just saw, this resolution you guys came up with. And I understand that X-Files is known to pose questions and leave them on the table, but they have to be legitimate questions. This is a manufactured question.
Well, to that point, I agree with you. I'm okay if I don't have everything nicely bow-tied, but give me enough information that I can draw some conclusions of my own, right? Like, and you as the director have to have your own idea of what you think the story is, so that you have something to work off of. So if it's well done, without spoon feeding us what it is, we can intuit what it is.
Precisely.
But that was not done here. And I think, to your point, I absolutely agree that, we spent 40 minutes getting to this point, and then the last 5, we have this Deus Ex Machina of literally the aliens appearing out of thin air, taking Brother Martin away, knocking out the agents, and then disappearing, right? And it's like, well, then why did this all happen, right? We ultimately come back to that age-old question: what do Mulder and Scully actually do in this episode? Like, they certainly don't stop people from getting killed. They're absolutely terrible at that. because lots of people get killed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we were looking at this from the point of view of a police procedural and not an X-File, like there would have been so much more. There would have been so much more that would be done to like, protect the public. Yeah. Anyway, I don't need that. I just feel like they needed to have their aliens story dug into a murder story, and this gender bending twist thing. It was just a mess.
Yeah. Long story short, we've said it a billion times, but I'll just lay it out here. No aliens, and come up with something that makes sense for this character you've created.
Yep.
Something simple. Tie a bow on the episode. It may not have been a great episode, but at least it makes sense.
I mean, at the very least, have the confrontation that we've been edging towards for the last 42 minutes, where our agents are chasing our villain.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, you know, literally Scully has him at gunpoint, and then the other good aliens come down and swoop him away. It's like we're denied this element of justice, I guess. Like, if you look at it from the raw point of view of this guy has seduced against their will 6-7 people and, you know, ultimately killed them. But those people are going to be denied justice because the aliens take them away. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons it's unsatisfying is not only do our agents not do anything, they are on the verge of doing something that has a legitimate real world impact. But, you know, that's in classic X-Files tradition, never going to be resolved because it's supernatural and you can't prosecute the supernatural. So there you go. The other thing with the aliens, it's like we have already got a developing mythology arc and now we have new space aliens. I mean, I guess it helps that they disappear and are never spoken from.
This makes two races of alien that we never see again.
Or potentially a third? Are we counting space?
Well, okay, hold on. 4. So we're at 4. We've got the mythology aliens, which are ambiguous at this point. We don't know what they're doing. We've got space, where they toy with NASA.
Yeah.
We've got these guys, who are weird. And we have the fallen angel guy, who is like a fighter jock trying to...
Yeah.
Don't find me. I got to get to Max. I don't have any real plans.
They are shooting in every direction but a main plot. Well, I think we can all agree. It definitely bended away where it wanted to be.
Trying too hard on that one. I'm sorry.
I've only got one thing I can do that really ties into the title, so I'm limited.
I know. Let's shift away from that.
I think that's the end of the episode.
That's
pretty good.
Shift away.
It's pretty good. They were flexible.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Andrew. That's Mike. We'll be talking to you next time. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Subtle. It's good.
Don't let this episode break your spirit. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at TINHXFilesPod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming. It's that time, everyone, the Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/magusmediaproductions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X, our Patreon, patreon.com/magusmedia, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support.